And we're live. Welcome to the Lock and Load Show. Try and get my screens together here. Yeah, so you got too many screens. Start screen share. That's not the one. This is live. In case you can't tell. Whenever things get screwed up at the start, it's live. Screen share, and there it is. Okay, so if you're in the state of Hawaii, the lovely Sunshine State, we've got another Category 4 hurricane on the way. People are the Weather Channel Live is talking about the possibility of it turning north. This is Hurricane Lane. It's Category 4 storm, and hopefully it'll miss us south like Hurricane Hector did, but because of different weather and pattern in the direction that it's going, they're thinking it'll push this hurricane north. It'll kind of like pass south of the Big Island, then get pushed north. But you never know. It could miss us completely or run us over, just like Iniki. That's what happened with Iniki. Is it went under kind of south of the state, and then some other weather patterns pushed it north, and it kind of devastated certain parts of the island that took a direct landfall. And so just getting prepared a little bit as usual here for another hurricane season coming up. And so this is Hurricane Lane. I've almost got my bug out roll done. Just got a few things I'm putting in there tonight, and then I think I can make a video tomorrow morning and post it. Got a few cool prepping items today. I'm going to turn the camera back on real quick. All right. So let's see. I got this from Wazoo. It's like a leather cordage and fire steel bracelet, and the whole concept behind these is your bug out. It's when something goes wrong, you only have the gear that you have with you. You don't have your bug out bag if it's like back at home. And so I've got a necklace that also has like the same kind of leather, except it has the fire strike. It has a ceramic fire striker and a little fire steel rod on there. So you can wear your fire starting gear. But anyway, that bug out roll video should be coming up in the next day or two. So tonight's topic that I was bringing up, I want to thank my panelists for being here. Patrick from Texas and Jared Walsh from Maryland, right? Did I mess that up? Massachusetts. I always know it begins with an M, but then I screw it up.
Just say Mass.
Mass. And so the top. Black Mass, is that some film reference or something?
Yeah, it's the film about Whitey Bulger.
Okay. I know he was some kind of mobster. He was some kind of hitman, right?
Yeah,
anyway,
apparently he did a lot of stuff. Yeah, right.
Did a lot of bad things. The topic that I was trying to pick for tonight's show, which seemed to cause some controversy, but it was it's that multifaceted prepping is important for like gun channels people or just gun guys, because otherwise you'll just wind up if the shit hits the fan, you'll just be the best armed skeleton, and that really doesn't do you any good, because you need all kinds of things to survive, not just guns. And I was trying to say before, we were talking about it in the pre-chat, so I'm going to repeat myself. I'm sorry, guys. Is that I don't think you're going to be able to like turn into some kind of marauder and loot, shoot, and kill your way, rape and pillage your way through the apocalypse and survive. Not just because other people have guns. I mean, this is America. Everybody has guns, but well, not everybody. But it's it's not that easy to do something like that. And besides, the what I was trying to, I'm going to try and say this again. I was on a roll in the pre-chat, but I'm probably going to mess it up for the live show. It's you want to survive the whatever the grid down, shit hits the fan situation. You don't know whether it's going to last for 10 weeks, 10 months, 1 year, 10 years. But eventually, some kind of civilization will reemerge. It may not be the civilization we know, but whatever shit hits the fan, whatever kind of event it is, or multiple things going wrong at the same time, you want to survive with something of yourself intact. It's like you don't want to just like survive as what? You want to survive as you. And just going full dark would be, I mean, something would survive, but it wouldn't be you. I had been watching over the weekend, Turner Classic Movies had Judgment at Nuremberg on, and one of the defendants' final statements to the U.S. tribunal who was trying them for crimes against humanity during World War II was that Germany was fighting for its very survival, and so it was justified to do whatever it had to survive, and which included, obviously, millions and millions of people being killed and forced sterilizations for people who didn't agree with Hitler and all kinds of evil stuff that went on. And so the question is, you would survive then, but survive as what? And so I would suggest that looting and shooting your way through the apocalypse, one, it tactically and practically won't work. And I mean, it didn't work for the Lord Humongous in Mad Max Road Warrior. He couldn't get the fuel out of that place. And I don't think it'll work in real life either. Because it's just, I mean, lots of people have firearms. This is America, and it's whatever you survive as, it wouldn't be you. And I don't think you could just go from place to place like you would need a lot of people organized to do something like that. I mean, maybe a government could do something like that, but because or a military could do something like that. But I don't think like regular people could do something like that. And I don't even think a military could do something like that. What do you guys think?
Even then, you're only going to have a finite amount of medical supplies left. So if you start going around everywhere, shooting up every place, you're going to run out of medical supplies. I mean, that's, I don't know, it's just, it's
well, I mean, yeah, you cannot be going around running around the apocalypse, just trying to be gung-ho and taking over everybody. You're not going to live. You're eventually going to meet your match. So, I mean, you have to survive, and you have to have some things figured out, and you have to be prepared. But you might have to loot, steal, and pillage and all that. But if you don't, which people are probably going to do, probably not. It's guaranteed they're going to do it. So,
right. Well, I'm assuming that in a grid down without the rule of law situation, there will be some violence. But I'm just suggesting that going full dark as a marauder wouldn't work tactically, practically. I mean, because you go from place to place, whatever you loot, you're gonna have to try and carry back to wherever your base is, and who's gonna guard your base. I mean, you would need some kind of organization to manage all that, and and then whatever you survive as, it would. I mean, you wouldn't recognize yourself, and when civilization came back,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And and eventually it will. I mean, 10 years is a long time to try and make it through some, volcanic winter or nuclear winter or aliens from outer space or whatever it is. It's a long time to try and make it. But if you're going to try and survive as who you are. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that you're not going to have to, there won't be violence and you won't have to use violence sometimes to get what you need. But going like full dark and just, I don't know, going like trying to be like Lord Humongous or something and rule the wasteland, I don't think that will work practically.
Well, there's going to be people that are going to try it. I mean, I imagine some people will be successful. I mean, just like in the, was it the Postman, the guy who ran the Clan of Eight? He was a copy, he was a copy repairman, and then he decided I'm going to become a general now. It's just not, but it won't last forever.
Well, there's no honor among thieves either, so.
Right, yeah, you're always going to be, somebody's going to be trying to take your spot.
Yeah. Postman was so long ago. I remember that was where Kevin Costner delivered mail in the apocalypse, right? Something like that.
Yeah, he found, he was just a drifter and he found a mail truck and when it was freezing rain and cold and he just got in it, started a fire and started reading letters and then took the postman's uniform and jacket because he didn't have anything. And
okay, by the way, here's something I got also today in the mail. Gerber diesel multi-tool. So adding that to my preps. I didn't really have a good one. I had some really lightweight small ones, but I didn't have like a full-size one. So this will do. It's the Gerber diesel. So it's got pliers, a little saw, and knives and bottle openers and screwdrivers and stuff.
You don't have the tips on that one, huh?
Tips? Well, it's got this thing where. Go ahead.
If you really want to know how it's going to last, like people like marauding and running through the wasteland or whatever in the apocalypse, all you have to do, if you want to know how it's going to turn out, look at the pirates during the 1700s, the 1600s. Look at that. Look how piracy worked and ended up. I mean, yeah, there's still piracy today on the high seas, but
off of Venezuela, off of the coast of Venezuela, apparently, because
they're in the Caribbean too.
The Coast Guard, the Venezuelan Coast Guard are now the pirates because their paycheck is not worth anything.
But there are literally pirates still today in the Caribbean, and yeah, they do get confronted by the U.S. Navy on more than one occasion. But there are pirates that sail in the Caribbean.
What's that you have? What you have there, Rupan?
And it's not Johnny Depp. This is a Gerber that I've had for. I got issued in I think 2011. I think I got issued this.
Very similar to what I have. It's.
Yeah, this has the wire strippers, and these are movable, so you can.
This has wire. You can move them back like these are too. You can basically put it in like this and stick it out like that.
Yeah, you see the cutter right here, though?
Yeah, there's a stripper. Is this a cutter or a stripper?
It's a cutter and a stripper.
Yeah, this has some kind of, it looks like cutters right in the center, but they're not very.
Yeah, this one is great because it's one-handed. So that's what's great about it is you pull it out of the pouch. If you got your hands are full or something, you pop it out of the Velcro pouch and then you just pop it. And your left hand is busy or something or whatever, and you can pop the knife out.
So the military issued that one to you?
Yeah.
It's gave me a Gerber pouch with it, so it's got a little
Yeah.
belt loop.
Yeah. So these are nice because it's the one-handed one. You can pop it down. If you get your other hands up your ass, you can.
Busy fighting the apocalypse with your other
Yeah,
hand
well,
up.
exactly.
So that was my topic. Besides the whole fuel storage thing that we were going to talk about, but was just I think it's just impractical to figure. I just don't think anybody is going to be able to loot and shoot their way through the apocalypse.
Well, I mean, if you have to eat and you start going nuts, then maybe you might do it. But
Well, stealing
what
food isn't what I'm referring to, you know.
yeah, you're talking about going full dark. But the problem is I don't think it's sustainable more for a getting shot at and needing medical supplies. So let's say you do it 2 or 3 times. You might, I mean, it's not.
You might get lucky and get away with it a few times.
It's not Hollywood though, where there's a huge shootout like The Walking Dead, where people they shoot like 1,000 rounds in a shootout, and like one person gets shot in the leg. Like, no, that ain't gonna happen. Like, everybody's gonna be bleeding, and that means that most of them are gonna die because apocalypse. You're not gonna be able to get medical care. Like,
Yeah, that will be very difficult. You'll have to be your own physician, heal thyself, or prepper, heal thyself.
you're gonna be taken out, man. It's gonna take it. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be something that's real scary. Is unlike I don't think Hollywood portrays that very well though, because obviously why would they? They wouldn't sell.
Like, yeah, that doesn't lend into the fantasies that people will pay to go see. So, all right, we were going to talk about diesel storage, and we talked about some of that in the pre-chat too. So, basically, I guess everybody was saying, I'll try and summarize, and then you guys can fill in the blanks or the holes, was that diesel should last for a year before it goes bad, and that if you have gasoline stored with stable, that might last for a year as well. Okay, fill in the blanks, because I am not an expert on this.
Okay, what I read on from BP, which is British Petroleum, folks that had the rig in the Gulf that blew up. They were saying underground or at a temperature of 70 degrees, constant temperature, it'll be good for up to 12 months. Other factors, if it's in a storage tank, your volume of air above the fuel for gasoline and diesel is going to be key, because you're going to get condensation that's going to lessen the life of how long the fuel will be good for. But there's other products you can put in there. There's stablant tablets. Diesel will do what?
Is there a separate kind of stable for diesel than just regular gasoline? Is it a separate product for that? Okay.
Yes, it's a micro organism tablet that you'll throw in there. I was reading about it, and the organism will actually kind of get rid of some other crud that's in the fuel and keep it stable. But then again, you can't use too much of that either, is what I was reading, because it'll start having byproducts and bad things and make the fuel not work and go bad. So I mean, it's not something that's going to last forever. It's unless there's a constant resupply of new fuel within 6 months to a year. If it does last that long, we're not going to be running on gasoline and diesel anywhere unless you're making your own, which is a very hard thing to do. And I mean, biofuels, biodiesels, yeah, okay, Crisco, French fry grease, yeah, if you get that to work. But yeah, then again, it's like, how are you? It's not an easy process. And that's a lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of equipment, a lot of, well, hey, this guy's got fuel and vehicles. How, I mean, honestly, I think we're going to be going back to the horse and carriage before, well, faster than people will think.
Yeah,
Because a horse doesn't run on gasoline or diesel.
depending on what event brings on
Well,
the next apocalypse, the next shit hits the fan situation.
Yeah, I mean, if you're out of it, you can't refine, you can't get fuels and all that. Yeah, obviously. But if we were still getting it and we're making it, then we'll have it.
All right. Yes, for myself, I was just interested in how long we'd have fuel to run generators off of, and have people who had personal generators could run their items that they need to either stay warm, stay cold, or distill water.
Now,
somebody's cleaning their rifle, I guess.
Now, I've had gasoline stay fine up to I think it was 5 years, but it's just a little harder to start. So if you get something that's carbureted, it might not be as good. So I don't know if that means anything. The tank was full too. So
yeah, I think it'll gum up if you leave old gas in your carburetor. I've been told that not to do that in a generator because it'll gum up the works in a carburetor.
It'll probably rot out the fuel lines too. This was a car, so.
Yeah, and if you go with ethanol, like I know folks will be like, well, okay, well, what about ethanol? Well, ethanol is corrosive to current fuel systems, and they do not have fuel systems today that are in mass production on vehicles that are running on ethanol that I know of. Because there's only you're only allowed 10% ethanol mixed in with gasoline. The one that's a government stupid thing because ethanol is total waste of time and money. It doesn't do anything other than break stuff. But you can't run it in a two-stroke. It'll burn up a two-stroke engine real quick. And in four strokes, it burns up plastic parts, fuel pumps, and other systems. I mean, ethanol is not a good thing unless the system is designed and you have the proper materials in place to run it. So,
yeah, we do have ethanol-free gas stations here at the moment.
Oh, you do?
What?
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah. Hawaii has. It costs more for the non-ethanol.
That's
gasoline.
what I keep filling up every day with, man. You got the good gas.
Well, I haven't been paying for the good gas. I see it.
You need to. Trust me, it's that even 10% ethanol, it screws cars up big time.
Well, the price for regular unleaded here is like over $4 in Hawaii. But which brings me to a film trivia question. What was the price of gas in Die Hard for unleaded?
Oh.
When Officer Al Powell was in the gas station buying Twinkies, and then he got the call to go to Nakatomi Towers, what was the price of unleaded?
I'm gonna say 92 cents.
That was like the 80s.
Any other guesses?
75 cents.
You're close. You're the closest one so far. Squibb, you want to take a shot?
I can tell you back then I was paying about 78 cents a gallon for 87 octane.
You're the closest. It was 77 and 9/10.
Wow. Man, I always remember being 99 cents. We had a damn refinery in our town.
All right, well, that's the movie trivia question for today. Squibb was the closest.
Yeah, I found out the having a refinery in your town doesn't make a lick of difference. So I was down in Baytown, Texas, right there outside of Houston, and there's the Chevron refinery right there. And on the street in front of the refinery is a Chevron gas station. and you could see the entrance to the refinery was the street right next to the gas station. The gas station was on the main drive, but it's literally a fence and some trees. And I was thinking, they probably got a pipe running from the back of the gas station right into the refinery. And the price of gas there was no cheaper than outside of town, or it wasn't significantly cheaper than in Louisiana or Mississippi or Alabama or Georgia, South Carolina, or North Carolina. Because I drove from North Carolina to Texas and back, and the gas price was about the same everywhere. But I thought, they're making the gas right here, right behind the gas station. It's a Chevron refinery. It's a Chevron gas station. What is up with this? So, I mean, it doesn't really help much.
Yeah. We had a Sunoco refinery in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's still there, but I mean, yeah, it doesn't make the price of fuel go down. I wish it did.
Now, what about using Brown's gas as an alternative? The problem is you're going to need a way to separate it. So you're going to have it's a black hole, right? So it's a black hole. But the thing is if you don't have any gasoline, then there's no way you're getting any more gasoline. And all you're getting is stale gas. And stale gas ain't working. If you got something with a carburetor, you can rig up Brown's gas, which is just water, and you just create hydrolysis, the process of hydrolysis. So pretty much you just empty out an automotive battery, and you fill the automotive battery up with water, and then you put amperage between the two battery terminals. A gas will float out of the battery, and that is
We're
Brown's
talking
gas.
hydrogen.
It's not straight hydrogen. It's hydrogen. It's HHO.
Yeah, but it's
hydrogen.
electrolysis with the hydrogen.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah, but
not good. But you know what, man? You can make it with a car battery and water. Now,
Right.
It's not going to last forever, but there's going to be an abundance of car batteries laying around if you can't use any vehicles. So I don't know. It's definitely some sort of an alternative. It's gas. It's going to be a gas.
Which brings us to right into the whole thing. Have you guys been following this whole soap opera with Elon Musk and Tesla about his errant tweet claiming that he put out a tweet? Well, basically, he really kind of has a screwed up life in spite of having a hot girlfriend, or at least he used to have one called Grimes, who's some singer or something, I guess. And he put out a tweet saying that he wanted to sell. He had secured funding to take Tesla Motors and their famous electric car private by buying everybody out for $420 a share. But what really happened was, and he's the CEO of Tesla Motors, a publicly traded company. So he put out this tweet, and he didn't really have the financing, apparently. The SEC is investigating him. What he was trying to do was squeeze the shorts, because he really got pissed at everybody that was shorting his stock of his company. So for like half a day, the stock price shot up, and then as soon as everybody figured out that it was all just that he had just become deranged and put out false information, then it just is like his stock price crashed. The company's been downgraded, and everybody's saying he's just too deranged to run a publicly traded company. But basically he is that company, and it basically went from like $399 down to like $298 in like a couple of days. And I think JP Morgan set a new price target for $199 a share. And I mean, it scared the hell out of the shorts for a while, but I think they got into his head with that. But the SEC is investigating him now because you can't lie about your stock if you're the CEO of a publicly traded company without being prosecuted. But if the SEC goes after him, then he is that company. The whole company will just fold. And they've already got they've been building electronic charging stations for their electronic cars all throughout mainland China. So It's because China's into like not polluting because they have so much pollution on mainland China that they just people can't breathe in Beijing, or Shanghai. It's just the pollution is that bad. Everybody's burning coal. They fertilize their farms with human waste, and when the wind blows, it kicks it up into the air, and everybody chokes, and it's just a big disaster. So they're trying to go green over there, and so it's just really screwed up. So I don't know about how he had basically talked to some people in Saudi Arabia about the possibility of taking his company private. So, because he basically doesn't want people tapping on the shoulder every 3 months and saying, how are we doing, or are we going to make any money? Because there's no way. He's not really. I mean, you guys, Squib, you work in a car town. I mean, Tesla is not run like Ford. They don't effectively make cars that they can make a profit on. And like they'll never make a profit. I mean, as far as the valuation of the stock where it is, they're trying to roll out a new concept, and it's been so I don't know how electric cars are going to do in the apocalypse. I mean, it's easier if you have some solar batteries, solar panels and batteries. You could power up the batteries, charge up your Leaf. I saw some Nissan Leafs in the parking lot at Walmart the other day. I was like, or no, it was Safeway. I was like, well, those look cool, but I don't think I want to spend any of my money on a Nissan Leaf. Do you think electric cars would be a thing? I guess it depends on the state of the batteries, how far the new lithium batteries design has come along. What do you guys think?
Well, I know the hybrids they're jokes. I mean, every 100,000 miles, roughly 90 to 100,000 miles, you got to put a new battery in the damn car. So it's not a technology that's going to work long term either. And the other thing is, half of these hybrids and these fully electric cars are all subsidized by you and me and everybody else. I mean, they lose money on every damn car.
Yeah, they make it up on volume.
To make one Chevy Volt, it costs $90,000.
Yeah, the thing though is Chevy, when these other car manufacturers make a company, they're being subsidized by the government. Tesla is being financed by a ridiculous stock price, and so
we're financing that. We are too. We're giving.
Well, the difference is Chevy and Ford are a lot closer to doing it and at least not losing a ton of money compared to Tesla, who
Tesla had a factory. They had $500 million factory that was a couple years ago that was owned by the people.
All right. Thanks, Rupan.
See you.
Yep, take it easy. We had some shark attacks on the East Coast, and apparently there are still sharks in the ocean. So, in case you didn't know that, there's your news flash for the day. And there are hurricanes in the ocean too. More concerning to me.
I think this Elon Musk cares more about SpaceX than anything else. I think that's where he's making his money, because he's the only one that's got the contract to take stuff up into orbit to the space station. I mean, they're shooting stuff off out at Cape Canaveral all the time.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that.
I mean, SpaceX is more profitable for him than the Tesla cars.
Tesla cars, yeah. Well,
Tesla cars have never made money.
Right. From what I hear, people get in the cars really like the cars, but they aren't making money and they aren't producing cars. I think I saw something where he was giving a speech, and it said like we will have our first cars available for sale off the assembly line, like it's like 2020 or 2019 or 2019.
There's quite a few running around here.
Well, but I mean, it's just he's not like Ford, which is actually another thing that kind of came up in Judgment at Nuremberg. But anyway, too sidetracked.
But no, you're right. He's not like Ford, and I honestly don't think he's making a dime on the car side. It's just something that they're going to try. They're going to be like Germans. They're going to do it just to spite.
I'm not sure where that came from. Well, what I was referring to in Judgment at Nuremberg, as far as the cars go, is that basically, I think Max Schell plays the German lawyer, and he's saying, well, Winston Churchill says that before the war started, that if England was in trouble, we would hope. I would hope that we'd have somebody with the strength of Adolf Hitler to pull it together. And he actually said that before the war into a paper. And then he said all American industrialists, without actually naming Henry Ford, came to Germany and they helped them produce their assembly line for their tanks. So Henry Ford helped them build all their tanks. I mean, by showing them how to put together assembly lines, and so they could get it done at a reasonable rate and speed and cost. And then the Russians signed a pact with Hitler. So he was trying to blame anybody but his client for all the crimes that Germany said, all the crimes against humanity that the judgment at the trials at Nuremberg were about. So now that we got the whole Henry Ford and why I don't want to buy any more Fords, although I did used to own a Mustang, it becomes difficult when I can't buy Procter & Gamble because I don't like Google, and I don't want to buy Ford because you help the Nazis. And it's like, okay, what can I buy? It's like, okay. I got the external chat working, so I'm going to go check that out really quick. Let's see. Quick look. Trying to be everywhere at once. No, not too many people talking out there. There's a few. BC Truck came by. Steve D came by. Local 223. Voodoo Billy. All right. So on the whole, my last thoughts on Judgment at Nuremberg was, I think it won 2 Academy Awards, and Burt Lancaster was just incredible. He plays a doctor of law, Dr. Ernst Janning, and he basically, this character wants to make a statement at the trial telling why he should be found guilty. And that was just a very, people think of Burt Lancaster, this was a serious, tough acting assignment for him, and he did an incredible job. I don't know if he won one of the 2 Oscars that that film won, but Spencer Tracy was in that, Marlene Dietrich, Judy Garland, William Shatner had a small bit, it's a little more than a bit role, supporting role, a very small part, and but it was the biggest 2 were, well, I would say 3: Max Schell, Burt Lancaster, and Spencer Tracy played Judge Hayward. And so I thought that was kind of more as relevant today as it was. And Richard Whitmark, let's not forget him, plays the prosecuting American attorney at the tribunal. Basically what that tri-court case was about was trying the German judges who were judges before and during the Nazi regime in Germany, and for crimes against humanity. And basically, the Nazis passed laws in Nuremberg against racial pollution. And so anybody that disagreed with Hitler was either sent to be sterilized or to a death camp. And of course, all the Jews, Gypsies, and Eastern Europeans were sent to death camps. And that's what that trial was about, that the judges let this happen. Not that I think they could really have stopped it, but they didn't have to put their stamp of approval on all these individual cases and go along with it. So whatever they were sentenced to by the tribunal, I think all of them were out and free after just a few years, after receiving life sentences for what they did. And there was a lot of good lines in that movie. And one was, I think at the end was when Burt Lancaster and Spencer Tracy before Spencer Tracy flies back to America and has already sentenced everyone to life in prison. It's basically, he says, Burt Lancaster's character, Dr. Ernst Janning, says, "You have to believe me, I didn't know it would come to this with millions of people dying. I had no idea it would come to this." And Spencer Tracy said, "Dr. Janning, it came to that the first time you sentenced someone to death who you knew to be innocent. It came to that." So I would say, try and take it easy if the shit hits the fan, and do what you have to do to survive. Defend yourself, but I would say don't go full dark. It won't. You won't be practical in the end. You probably won't survive trying to do something like that, and even if you did, you wouldn't be the same person. You wouldn't. It's like, what would you be if you survived that way? You wouldn't be who you are. You want to survive the apocalypse being who you are now, and not being turned into something, some wicked evil thing that you're not. I'm not saying you aren't going to need to there won't be violence. There will be violence, but there's a line, and you have to figure out where it is. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. And in the end, we're all responsible for ourselves and our actions, whether there is or isn't the rule of law. So that's all I have to say on that. I've been prepping for the hurricane as much as I can. Oh, yeah. These are what I was talking about last week. I don't know if you can see them. I like these. I don't know, Squib doesn't like cinnamon, but these are freeze-dried apple slices, dust with a little bit of sugar and cinnamon dusting. It's not too much. I mean, the apples are sweet themselves, so they didn't need too much of it. But I like them for a snack. The whole pack is 120 calories, so it's not like a meal, but it's a great snack. And it's in a Mylar pouch, so it'll last a little while. It's not a meal, and it doesn't have the shelf life of like 30 years or something. It's like a year or two. But I like them. They're Alpine Air Cinnacrisp slices. They're really good. So anyway, let's see. All right. Hey, Steve, what part? Steve D out there in the external. What part of California were you in? I think somewhere on the coast. I think you were in California. All right, I'm going to do a couple of screen shares really quick. One more screen share if I can find it. Come on. All right, well, let's do this one. Right, here we go. All right, I hope you guys can see this. This is some United States Geological Survey of Fissure 8. So the volcano has pretty much stopped. This was the active Fissure 8 in Puna, near Leilani Estates, and it looks, there's a little steam coming up, but there's not like lava shooting up 100 feet high like before. It's looking pretty deadish. Most of the earthquakes have stopped. They're talking about reopening the park in phases. On the top of the Kilauea caldera. This is down in Puna by Leilani, Fissure 8. And there used to be lava shooting up right out of here, 100 feet high. But that looks to have stopped. And this looks like a drone from the United States Geological Survey. Yeah, unmanned aircraft team assessing the situation. All right, one more video I've got. Let's play this one. So we're going to go and take a look at Capo Ho and Potiki on the east tip of the island, of the Big Island. This was a few days ago. So there used to be homes and a road, and there's basically a big sandbar that has formed where the boat ramp used to be, around the boat ramp. The boat ramp's still there, but the ocean, there's a big sandbar that is well, you can see where it is. The boat ramp is, there's now like a bunch of black sand. It's really cool that we have a black sand beach and a new black sand beach, but obviously there's no roads there anymore. The roads have been wiped out. But there used to be a boat ramp right here, so I guess people are going to have to back their boats in. It'll be a little tougher if they're going to use that boat ramp once they rebuild the roads. Just get some overviews of the devastation really around the Big Island. A few new black sand beaches here and there that didn't used to exist. There's another long shot of the boat ramp and Isaac Hale Beach Park. So there's the sandbar. You get a real nice close-up with that cloud rolled over it. So there it is. There used to be like a food truck out there, and people would come by and go surfing. And but all this used to be water, and there's now a sandbar of black sand. So the black sand must have been underwater, and somehow everything got moved around when the shoreline changed. And what's that? Hula doll and a duck. All right. Fissure 8. There are some really, the crater rim trail up on the top of the volcano has been completely trashed. It looks like there's these huge cracks in it. So if they open that park in stages, it's going to cost a lot of money to, I mean, especially with the government in charge. They're going to do studies that cost millions of dollars before they do anything. And they finally get around to do something, it'll cost a fortune to, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to open the Jaeger Museum up there. That looks like the geothermal energy plant. That looks like somebody's house that just barely survived. Some parts of Leilani, I'm guessing. It'll be interesting to drive once they actually open this up and rebuild roads. It'll be interesting to drive through this. Right now, tourists you can't even go in there without like a placard and an official escort, even if you live there. Hawaii Institute of Survival I saw him commenting that he lives in Leilani and he can't go back to where he lives unless he has an official placard from the emergency management agency from the state, and you have to be escorted by, like, I don't know, some police or some ridiculous. You can't go to your own property, basically. Anyway. All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to this week's show? Anybody out there? I forgot to rack my clock at the start of the show, so there we go.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard Dead Horse was talking about there's stuff going on in Yellowstone, and NASA's drilling holes and putting seismic instruments up there now. And
NASA's drilling holes in Yellowstone? There's already holes in Yellowstone. It's a 50 by 30 mile wide caldera crater that's how big Yellowstone is around Old Faithful. Well, what'll be interesting is, speaking of NASA, is that they last weekend, I believe, over the weekend, they launched some Atlas rockets launched a solar probe, and it's basically a exploration craft that's going to orbit, that's going to go into this corona of the sun. It'll be there in November, and then I guess every year or so it'll do another orbit through there, assuming it survives. It was specifically designed to withstand the heat inside the corona of the sun, and they're going to basically study the solar holes and solar dynamics, and I guess we may get a better idea of the effect of these things on our of the geomagnetic power of the sun and on the tectonic plates of our planet, and but I guess the important thing is to know what we don't know, which is pretty much what we don't know is the effect of the sun on the plates, the tectonic plates, the various plates that cover the Earth. And I've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube about it, but it'll be interesting what science reveals from this probe, since it's supposed to be a constant information on all kinds of instruments and monitoring devices on the sun. I don't think we've ever sent a mission that's going to go like this close to the sun before, and it ought to be interesting. Anyway, something to keep your eyes on, and keep searching for information about, especially from NASA and any scientists that are following that. So I think I'm going to close out this show by saying, if you live in Hawaii, stay prepared, get prepared for that hurricane. Hopefully it'll miss us, but if it doesn't, you're not going to want to, it's in every phone book, okay, how to prepare for a hurricane. So crack it open and do some of the stuff in there, or go on the state emergency preparedness, and they'll tell you what you need as far as food, water, medicines and stuff. I think I'm pretty well prepared. I refilled all my meds, got all kinds of water filtration. My bug out roll is ready, which I really hope I don't have to bug out in the middle of a hurricane, but can do what I have to. I just got a new poncho. It's a ACG camo pattern crewman's poncho. I don't know if you guys wore that at all when you were in the service. I did want to close out with this last thing. One of the survivors of Pearl Harbor passed away today. Let me see if I can find that story real quick, or screen share it, or at least mention it. Here it is. Screen share. close out the show after this story really quick. Thanks for tuning in. And hey, hit the thumbs up button if you have a chance. All right. So here he is, Pearl Harbor survivor, former chief boatswain mate Roy Emery, 97 years old, passed away Monday, August 20th in Boston, Massachusetts. No, I'm sorry, wrong city. Can't read anything with these glasses on, they're smudged. It says 2018 and August 20th, Monday. That's today, Boise, Idaho. He flew back. He lived in Pearl Harbor he lived in Hawaii and he flew back because I guess he knew his time was nigh. We're all mortal. Our deeds may live forever. Our valor may be eternal, but our bodies are mortal. Here's a picture. Mr. Ray Emery, a Pearl Harbor survivor, receives the U.S. flag during the repatriation ceremony for Fireman First Class Charles Casto at the National Memorial of the Pacific, Honolulu, Hawaii, September 14th, 2017. Casto, recently identified by the Defense POW-MIA Accounting Agency, will be reinterred at the National Memorial of the Pacific. There he will be reunited in the same plot with his brother Richard Casto, who were both killed on the USS Oklahoma during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Emery dedicated his life to identifying the remains of hundreds of service members killed on December 7th, 1941, and buried as unknowns in Hawaii. He helped identify the remains of more than 100 previously unidentified service members killed on December 7th and buried at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, Punch Bowl. On June 19th, Emery visited Pearl Harbor waterfront to see one last time where his ship, the USS Honolulu, CL-48, was berthed on December 7th, the day Oahu was attacked. Rear Admiral Brian Fort, Commander, Navy Region, Hawaii, and Naval Surface Group, Middle Pacific, spoke at the ceremony on the pier. Ray Emery as the guest of honor. Yeah, there is a lot of old veterans around here in the retirement homes and living around Honolulu and the islands. Just amazing how many veterans are still here, but Father Time is undefeated. And we are all mortal. And hopefully he's watching over all of us. So, let's see what else it says on the rest of the end of this article. Quote, Chief Emery fought back that day, manning his machine gun, taking on enemy planes, said Fort. He continued to fight throughout the war in the Pacific. He and his buddies, with the help from the home front, helped create an unprecedented era of peace, stability, and prosperity. Victory at the end of World War II was Ray's finest hour. 520 sailors aboard the USS Okane. That's like a Hawaiian word, I think. It means men. Just makes it weird because it sounds Irish. Okane? Well, berthed nearby, and sailors throughout the waterfront gave a tribute to the former Navy chief, lining the rails of the ships, forming an honor cordon, saluting, shouting, hip hip hooray. Fort added, the call came in 1941. Ray Emery and hundreds of thousands of other young Americans responded. Working with the Allies and partners, they fought to create a better world for our grandparents, parents, ourselves, and our families. We do not take their sacrifice and commitment for granted. We remember, unquote. And that's just it. Some guys have to do more than just talk. See you guys next week. Oh, I think I'm tall. Vertigo on that last button.